Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. So this video is a little bit late because some of these selections are already out, but I still did want to do an anticipated list for January's spooky book releases. So I wanted to make sure that I had a little bit of variety in here, some thrillers, some horror, you know, just generally what we refer to as spooky books, and I wanted to have a middle grade selection, some YA, and some adult. So this obviously is not everything that's coming out in January as a whole, because we would be here for a very, very long time. But these are books that sound particularly good to me. So before we get into the anticipated books, I did do a giveaway during my Yule haul. It was a really, really long video, and I did a impromptu giveaway right at the very end of the video and had a trivia question for anybody who watched the video all the way through. So I really did want to award people who watch all of my videos all the way through. And the trivia question was my little baby head right here. I named her Mildred Kemp, and that was the trivia question: which movie was Mildred Kemp a character in? And the answer was The Uninvited. So really great spooky movie. I don't hear a whole lot of people talking about it. It's just kind of one of those PG-13 sort of thrillers with a great twist at the end, and my little baby head looked very much like a Mildred, so I called her Mildred Kemp. So I'm gonna cut to the draw right now for the giveaway. So congratulations to the winner. I will be contacting you personally, and there's a two-step authentication process to make sure that you are you, even though I know you are you. But anyway, there will be more giveaways upcoming on the channel. So this one specifically was for Canada and the US, because I am shipping a couple of hardcover books, which are extremely expensive to ship. So keep your eye out for an international giveaway that will be coming up soon on the channel. So the first book on the list, coming up on January the 25th, is The Keeper by Guadalupe Garcia McCall. And this is a middle grade spooky book that sounds really, really good. And this follows a young boy named James, and he and his family have just recently moved to Texas. And no sooner had James and his family moved in than he starts receiving really creepy letters. So it says here, the first letter turns up on his desk. The second is stuck between the spokes of his bike. The third flies through the kitchen window. And they're all addressed to James from someone called the Keeper. And the letters all say that the Keeper is someone who claims to be watching him, someone who is looking for young blood. So he and his sister Ava are in the crosshairs of this person called the Keeper, and they have to try to figure out who this person is and what the heck they want. But unfortunately for James, he's a bit of a prankster. He likes to commit pranks, and he's not always truthful about things that he's talking about. So nobody believes him about these letters and this person that's stalking him. And it says here, now James and Ava need to try to figure out who is sending the letters before they become the next victims in their neighborhood's long history of missing children. Because one thing is clear, uncovering the truth about the Keeper is the one thing that will keep them alive. Full of chilling twists that will keep readers guessing until the very end, this middle grade novel is perfect for fans of The Jumbles, The Night Gardener, and other tales of things that go bump in the night. So fantastic sounding middle grade. You guys know how much I love middle grade horror. So that one is going to be out on January the 25th. And now moving into some YA. So the first one, I've already pre-ordered this book, and it's one of those ones that I'm really excited for, but I'm a little bit apprehensive as well. So this is In Every Generation by Kendara Blake, and it came out on January the 4th. So obviously this is another adventure series that takes place in the Buffyverse. And two reasons why I'm a little bit apprehensive about this is, number one, because nothing is going to be anywhere near as good as the original series, and I know that. But the last duology that I read that had to do with Slayers and took place in the Buffyverse was one that I really, really, really didn't like. And on top of that, Kendara Blake wrote another book called All These Bodies, which I tried to read in December and I actually DNF'd it. So I haven't done the wrap up of that just yet, so I will discuss a little bit more about that, but I'm hoping that that was just a one-off that didn't jive with me, and that this book is going to bring back all the wonderful feels of the Buffyverse and all of that. So here we're following Frankie Rosenberg, who is Willow's daughter, and that whole tie-in just opens up all of these questions, like where did this child come from? Are Willow and Buffy still friends? Is Buffy still alive? Like, so I'm more looking forward to kind of the backstory of all of that. But Frankie is just now going into her sophomore year at the newly rebuilt Sunnydale High, and we know that Sunnydale High is cursed right from the get-go. Every board and nail and everything in the place is cursed and haunted, and of course it's built right over the Hellmouth. So Frankie is just going into her sophomore year, like I said, and it says here, the world is suddenly plunged into danger when the Slayer community is the target of a deadly attack, leaving the future of the Slayer line uncertain. Then Frankie discovers that she's freakishly strong and that there's something that Willow never told her about her true identity. And then I would assume Frankie is the new chosen one, and she forms a new Scooby gang, and everything kind of picks up from there. So like I said, really excited about this series. I'm really looking for more stories that are based around kind of that original line of like Sunnydale High and California and all of that. And because this is tied directly to Willow specifically, I think that's going to be fantastic. And just kind of wondering to myself, like, is Frankie like a true chosen one, or is there something else going on here? And then of course, Willow is, you know, the badass witch, so does Frankie have any inherited witch traits that would be like a witch slayer kind of thing? So started a whole bunch of questions in my head, and super excited about this. So sorry for nerding out there for a second. So really excited about this book. I do have it ordered. It is shipping to me at some point. Amazon gave me a notice that it was going to be late, but really excited to dive into it. I'm watching the original series right now. We just started season 5, so I think this one is going to be a really great follow-up to the original series. And also out on January 4th is The Girl in the Lake by India Brown Hill. And this one is kind of like a spooky sort of mystery kind of thing going on. So we follow Celeste, and she is spending 2 weeks at her grandparents' house over the summer break with her brother and their 2 cousins. And Celeste is not very fond of swimming, but her grandparents really urge that she spend time in the water and get stronger for a couple of reasons. One of them is because her grandparents grew up during segregation and they didn't have the opportunity to learn how to swim like through school and get the kind of education that kids can get these days. And the other reason is because I believe it's the grandmother's sister ended up drowning when she was younger. So they want to make sure that the kids are very comfortable around the water, which makes sense. And then of course, spooky things start to happen. So her cousins and her brother start accusing her of waking them up during the night. And Celeste has absolutely no memory of this. And she knows that she hasn't been awake because she's been having horrific nightmares of her drowning every night that she's there. And then things start getting even worse. And one night after a shower, Celeste looks in the mirror, and in the steam she sees the face of a girl, but it's very twisted and very different looking. So it says, who is the girl in the mirror and what does she want? So sounds like a great spooky summertime sort of mystery. And so that is The Girl in the Lake by India Brown Hill, and it'll be out on January the 4th. And next up in the YA category is Beulah by Christy Nogle, which is out on January the 25th. So this one follows a girl named Georgie. She's 18 years old, and Georgie has a gift for being able to see ghosts. So Georgie, her mom, and her 2 sisters, after the death of her father, decide that they're going to move away and start life in a very small community called Beulah. And Georgie's mom has a very wealthy friend there who puts them up in an old kind of dilapidated stone schoolhouse for renovation, so they can renovate it to be their own. And so of course, anytime you have an abandoned building, especially if it has history of it being anything like a school or anything like that, and of course Georgie can see ghosts, so things start to get very, very spooky very quickly. So it says here, Georgie experiences a variety of disturbances. The town is familiar from dreams, and she seems to be experiencing her mother's memory of the place. Not to mention the creepy ghost in the schoolhouse basement. And then Georgie starts to realize that her younger sister is also developing this ability to be able to see ghosts. And it says Stevie, the younger sister, is in danger from a malevolent ghost, and Georgie tries to help, but soon Georgie is the one in danger. So we have some psychic girls who can see these malevolent spirits, and I guess maybe the ghosts of the schoolhouse don't want this family to be living there. So, you know, small town, creepy schoolhouse, new family, the whole thing. So I think it sounds pretty good. So that is Beulah by Christy Nogle, out on January the 25th. So moving into the adult category, out on January the 18th is Esmeralda Blood by V. Castro. And as you guys know, V. Castro wrote one of my favorite books, God is a Filth, from 2021. And she has such a wonderful, seductive way of writing. So this is a short story collection that is focused on specifically the Chicana experience. So this has to do with something that's a completely foreign and different culture for mine. So I think I'm going to learn a lot from reading this book. And it just says in Goodreads, V. Castro weaves urban legend, folklore, life experience, and heartache in this personal journey beginning in South Texas. So the story descriptions sound fantastic. Like I said, this is definitely on the adult side of this list, but she has a wonderful, seductive way of writing, especially when it comes to do with, in this case, Chicana experience or Latina life views. And I just love her writing, so really excited about this short story collection. So that is Esmeralda Blood by V. Castro, out on January the 18th. And then more along the thriller side, out on January the 11th, is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. And this follows Chloe Davis. And when Chloe is younger, girls in her community start turning up dead. And Chloe herself gets dragged into the story when her own father is accused and put away for these serial murders. So now 20 years later, Chloe herself is a psychologist, and she is trying to rebuild her life after the experiences as a child and her own father getting put away. And now girls are starting to go missing again. So she's trying to deal with her own psychology in, is she piecing together things that aren't actually there? Or are things actually starting to happen again almost exactly the way that they were 20 years ago? And it says here, is she paranoid and seeing parallels that aren't really there? Or for the second time in her life, is Chloe about to unmask a killer? So this is a debut novel, so this sounds absolutely fantastic. I'm really hoping for a great kind of thriller page turner with this one. It kind of has some echoes of the Dead Girls Club that I just finished reading in December, and unfortunately it didn't work for me. So I'm kind of looking for a little bit of a redemption read in the thriller category. So hoping this one is going to be it. So that is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham, and it's out on January the 11th. So the next book I'm super excited about. This is Generation X Ed, edited by Rebecca Rowland, and is out on January the 26th. So all of these authors are specifically Gen X authors. Now, for myself personally, I'm kind of between that Gen X, very early millennial stage, because I was born in 1982. So I still have a lot of Gen X attributes, and also because my parents are a bit older. I have a brother that's 10 years older than me, so I identify more as a Gen X than as a millennial. So I'm really super excited about this because it has a lot of the nostalgia and a lot of the early lifetime experiences that I can specifically remember from back then. So it says, in a unique anthology of monster, folk, paranormal, and psychological horror, as glimpsed through the lens of a latchkey generation, 22 voices shine a strobe light on what cultural demons that lurked in the background while they came of age in the heyday of the satanic panic, slasher flicks, milk carton missings, music television, video rentals, and riot girls. These Gen X storytellers once stayed out unsupervised until the streetlights came on, and what they brought home with them will terrify you. So I think out of this entire list, this one is the one that I'm most excited about. This sounds so good, and I think it's going to have a lot of nostalgia kind of from my early lifetime experiences at the tail end of that Gen X generation. So that one again is Generation XZ, edited by Rebecca Rowland, and it comes out on January the 26th. And the last book on this list is another one that is very exciting because it has to do with a lot with the demonic and the occult, and it is The Awakening by J.G. Faherty, and it's out on January the 25th. So this one kind of revolves around this priest who 50 years ago was involved in an exorcism. He was a young exorcist and actually exorcised the demon Asmodeus from a young person, and now 50 years later the demon is trying to exact his revenge on this priest. And a very kind of unlikely band of people who involve two twin psychics, a group of paranormal investigators, some people who played with the Ouija board, have all come together and they're trying to help this priest. And it says here, now they must all join forces and help Father Bonaventura rid the town of not only Asmodeus, but of the plague of poltergeists that has followed the demon into their world. So ticking all the boxes with this one, and I'm really looking for a great exorcism, a great demonic story, because like I said, with reading A Head Full of Ghosts, I was really kind of disappointed that it didn't put sort of a new spin on the whole exorcism and demonic possession sort of story. So I'm really hoping that this one has all of the cozy vibes that I'm coming to expect from supernatural and paranormal horror, but something that's a little bit more, something that's a little bit different. So again, this one is The Awakening, and it is out on January the 25th. So there you guys go. That is my most anticipated list of spooky books for January 2022. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a question or a comment down below. Let me know if you're excited for any of these. Are you going to add any of them to your TBR? Because you know I love chatting with you guys. But until next time, stay spooky, everybody. Bye.